Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose, man. Dmitry Bivol is returning this weekend. And you know what's interesting about it? The man's fighting in Russia. Hasn't been in Russia in a few years. 2021? But let me tell you something. There's a lot of questions about his legacy that are getting louder and louder. He's going to be fighting Michael Artur in Russia. But I'm telling you, it's a title defense, of course, because he has three other titles at light heavyweight. But I think this is much bigger than just another title defense. I think this is symbolic for Dmitry Bivol. You know, going back to Russia, everyone knows there's a lot that's happened, Russia, Ukraine. But he, been here stateside and spent a lot of years building his reputation globally against elite opposition. And not just winning, but dominating, you know what I'm saying? Even when he fought Beterbiev, a lot of people felt he won the first fight. Second fight, it is what it is. He won that fight. But he represents a style of boxing that we all love. And for those who didn't know much about Bivol, after they saw what he did to Canelo Alvarez, they lost their damn mind. Because you're watching this man in the ring against Canelo. And you saw discipline, calmness, you saw precision, footwork, control, technical mastery. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like watching somebody solve a puzzle in real time. Very impressive. But he's been boxing now as a pro for 11 years. And I think he may be, I don't know if he's the most respected technician of this era, but he's probably top three. But there's also some frustration surrounding his future, okay? Because while fans are happy to see Bivol return, I think many expected him to fight David Benavidez. Of course, he'll fight Artur, then maybe they were expecting Benavidez, but the reality is that dream appears increasingly unlikely. Boxing politics change everything, people. And that's what it is. Fans wanted Benavidez. But a huge portion of boxing fans believe, Bivol and Benavidez was becoming one of the sport's next major super fights. And I think it still is, but I don't think it's going to happen. But we'll get to that. But stylistically, the shit's fascinating. Bivol, control, discipline versus Benavidez, pressure, volume. It's really like a technician versus a destroyer. You know what I'm saying? But then you look at the mandatory obligations. Callum Smith, man, I think the WBC appears likely to delay. I think he's going to completely derail Benavidez and Bivol fighting, because that means Benavidez would have to wait a long time to try to get to Bivol after Callum Smith. You're talking about another 8 months or something. He can't sit around for that long. That's what I'm hoping Benavidez fights Jai Apataya. I'm being honest with you. That'll be destroyer. You got to be technical destroyer versus technical destroyer. That would be good. But fans are frustrated right now. You know what I'm saying? Because this is one of boxing's recurring problems. Mandatory obligations, politics, dream fights not happening when fans feel it needs to happen. And we understand the system. We respect the mandatories. But at the same time, I think we also feel boxing repeatedly delays the exact fights that generate the most excitement. Turkey al Sheikh, when Turkey's in the house every day is Thanksgiving. He's done a great job to give us fights that probably would have never happened. And we know timing matters when it comes to boxing. Because even if you have a delay, even if we understand the delay, it changes fighter momentum. It changes the age, it changes the negotiation leverage and public interest. The longer you wait for these guys to fight, the older their ass becomes. And this is why some fans fear with Bivol and Benavidez, this shit may never happen at all. And I'm telling you, I don't think it will. Because I don't know what Benavidez is going to do now. But if Turkey al Sheikh's pushing for Apataya and Benavidez, and I just have a feeling Apataya's going to clip him. But we got to wait and see. Because what we have in front of us right now is Bivol versus Artur in Germany. Artur sound crazy. I ain't trying to make jokes about the man, but it sounds like I'm say I fart, So it maybe is pronounced I fart, but that's not. I can only be in school as a kid it depends on what country you grow up, but like here in America, if your name is Michael Eifart, oh, Lord have mercy, man. Even me, if I was a teacher, I'd be laughing my ass off. But, that has nothing to do with the conversation. Just when I say his name, shit got me laughing. But Bivol is in Russia. And it matters a whole lot, man. Because I think it carries some emotional significance beyond rankings, beyond titles. That's where Bivol is born and raised and grew in. That's where he represented the country for in the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? The man fought internationally while becoming recognized as one of boxing's elite champions, and representing Russia and the Russian style of boxing. So now he gets a chance to return home as a celebration of longevity, proof of career stability, man, and recognition of how far he's come professionally. And I tell you what, I got a pulse on the fans in Russia. They love Bivol. They're like, he's disciplined, intelligent, respectful, technically brilliant. He properly represents Russians and Russian athletes. And for many supporters, simply seeing him perform live again on home soil after several years, it feels meaningful. And they're going to come out and they're going to support it, man. But Bivol and his legacy, that conversation is becoming serious. At this point, fans are starting to ask difficult legacy questions because Bivol has now spent over a decade professionally building one of the cleanest resumes of this era, especially, and probably more importantly, when he clipped Canelo Alvarez. That victory permanently changed how many fans viewed him. A lot of them didn't even know who he was. That fight put him on the map. It's not just that he fought Canelo. It's what he did to Canelo. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous the way he dominated him. Control, he was disciplined. Psychologically locked in. He just dominated. He dominated in every area, man. Then came the rivalry with Beterbiev. They were both teammates representing Russia in the Olympics on the boxing team, different weight classes, but they've known each other. But that elevated his legacy even further because fans viewed it as one of the most dangerous fights in modern boxing, which it was. But they thought he won the first fight, but Beterbiev got the win, and in the rematch, he won. So Bivol stepping into that level of danger earned enormous respect because everyone knows that Beterbiev is a fool with the power. He's got freakish power, boy. So is Bivol a Hall of Famer is the question they're asking now. And I say yes. And there are a lot of fans who believe yes because Hall of Fame conversations, they're not only about knockouts, popularity, flashy drama. They're also about consistency. They're about elite wins, championships, technical mastery, longevity, and historical importance. Bivol checks many of those boxes. World champion, elite level consistency, victory over Canelo, major fights with Beterbiev, years near the top. And he's respected globally by boxing purists. The biggest thing helping Bivol historically may actually be how he fought. He represents a pure boxing style many fans feel is becoming increasingly rare. Calm intelligence under pressure and amazing combination punching. So is there a piece missing? There's always going to be critics. But they feel that he doesn't have a deeper collection of defining super fights. And I had to stop and think about that, when it comes to Bivol. Let me see if I have this thing up. Oh, I actually do. Let me close this shit up. Here goes here. All right. This is Bivol. 24 wins, 12 KOs. One loss was to Beterbiev. 6 feet tall, 72-inch reach. But when you come down, we start talking about who he fought. He's about to fight this guy, Michael Eifart. He fought Beterbiev twice. He fought Zenad, Lyndon Artur, Gilberto Ramirez Zurdo. Fought Canelo, Salamov, Craig Richards, Rivera, Joe Smith, Pascal. It's not a bad resume. Those are good names. Those are guys who are really good fighters. But when you go through that resume, unless you're a diehard boxing fan, those names aren't really going to jump out at you. You know what I'm saying? That's why, for me as a hardcore fan, I deeply respect Bivol, and other hardcore fans deeply respect him as well. But casual audiences sometimes connect greatness more strongly to dramatic rivalries, violence, I'd say controversies and crossover fame. But Bivol's personality has always been quiet and reserved and professional. He does his talking in the ring. But ironically, that professionalism may have limited his mainstream celebrity, despite his incredible skill level. Because the reality is, he doesn't really get talked about. No one really speaks about him. But if the Benavidez fight never happens, this is where frustration becomes emotional. I think fans will wonder, could Bivol's discipline neutralize Benavidez, or Benavidez' pressure finally break him? You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing you've never seen with Bivol. He's never looked discouraged. He's never looked broken in a fight. But that uncertainty may become one of boxing's great what-if conversations. And boxing history is full of legendary missed opportunities. So dream fights delayed too long, politics interfering, or timing ruining major matchups. Fans fear Bivol or Benavidez could join that list. So as far as what's next for Bivol, I don't know. Eifert, Smith, after that, I don't know. But the future becomes interesting. Because I just think he's going to win both of those fights. And then if Benavidez still has the WBC strap, hold on a second. I don't want to tell y'all the wrong thing. Because Benavidez at light heavyweight. Let's look at it. Championship boxing rankings. Let's just see. Because at light heavyweight, I thought he had the WBC belt. But we're gonna look at it right now. I know at cruiserweight Benavidez has, I think, the WBO and WBA. But right here, okay, this is what you're talking about. Okay, so Benavidez is the WBC champion, yeah, and Bivol the WBO, IBF, and WBA. Okay, and then Callum Smith is the interim for the WBO. Okay, well that makes it a little bit interesting. But if Benavidez is still holding on to that WBC strap, I mean, and then maybe the fight happens, but I don't know. I really don't know. I just don't want the narrative to shift to Benavidez trying to preserve his legacy and trying to minimize unnecessary damage and maximizing remaining opportunities because they feel after 11 years he's close to retirement. But, you know, that's what happens when great fighters mature. You know, you get to a certain position, you know, you pick and choose. You know what I mean? When you want to fight, who you want to fight, where you want to fight. You know, because it shifts from proving yourself, which he's already proven, to protecting what you built. So I understand, I respect that, but I just want to say this, man, that Bivol represents a different era of fighter. He's not caught up in today's culture where it's chaos, call-outs, controversy, nonstop trash talk. Bivol's old school, and he feels old school. Built his reputation through performance, through discipline, composure, and many fans deeply respect that. Because even if he never becomes the loudest superstar in boxing, which that ain't his style, many believe future generations are going to study him as one of the purest technicians of his era. Even I watch his sparring. Because of Bivol, I've been watching the amateur program in Russia, and those young kids, how they start training them with that bounce, then pop, 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 then pop, 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 and how they do everything off of the bounce, off of a rhythm. Shit is amazing, man. But anyway, y'all keep cool. The Benavidez fight, I think it's out of here. I don't think it's gonna happen. But one thing for sure, Bivol may be quiet outside the ring, but he ain't quiet inside the ring. He loud as hell. He brings the noise, and he gonna bring it this weekend against Michael Eifert. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.